Welcome back to the podcast. Today's episode is about Another World's first year, 1964. Let's dive in.
You know that feeling, right? When you start a new show or crack open a book and suddenly you're just dropped into this massive, complex world.
Oh, yeah. With tons of characters and all their lives weaving together.
Exactly. That's kind of the journey we're taking today. We're doing a deep dive way back to the start of a real daytime giant, the American soap opera, Another World. We're focusing just on its very first year, 1964.
And what's amazing is the material we have. We've got, actual episode synopses, even some production notes from that year. It's like a peek behind the curtain.
It really is. And for you listening, if you like getting right to the core of something, really understanding it without wading through absolutely everything, this is perfect. We've sifted through it all to pull out the really fascinating bits, the stuff that shows you what the show was all about from day one.
And it wasn't just, simple family stuff even then. The opening itself said it wanted to explore the world of events we live in and the world of feelings and dreams that we strive for. That's pretty ambitious.
It is. And they weren't kidding. I mean, right from the get-go, Another World was tackling things other shows wouldn't dare.
Definitely. It's pretty significant that in 1964, a daytime show was dealing with subjects like abortion. That was seriously taboo back then.
Yeah.
It really shows a willingness to look at the difficult realities women were facing.
Groundbreaking, truly. So our mission today, basically, is to unpack those first big storylines, get a feel for the characters that pulled people in, and, see what Another World was saying about society back in 1964.
Right, where it all began.
Okay, so let's dive in. It really kicks off with the Matthews family, doesn't it? They're central right away, dealing with some major conflict.
Yeah, the show opens with this heavy sense of loss. William Matthews has just died. And there's this really poignant scene where Liz, his widow, tells their son Bill something like, "You're the man of the house now."
Wow, heavy stuff.
It is. But what's interesting is Bill's reaction. He's really sensitive to her grief, telling her not to tear yourself apart like this. It shows their connection immediately.
Yeah, that sets a tone. But then you get Granny, right, with a completely different perspective.
Totally different, especially when she's talking to Janet. Granny's got these very traditional ideas about, what a woman's life should be. She thinks Janet's ideas about wanting something different are unrealistic.
But she'll change her mind eventually.
Exactly. Predicts she'll snap out of it when a real man shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And Janet's response is powerful, saying, "I don't want that world. I've chosen another world." It's right there in the title almost.
Yeah. And Granny's worried, tells her not to stay there too long. You really feel that that generational clash.
You do.
Yeah.
But amidst all that, there's also this glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
Right after the funeral, the rain stops.
Oh, yeah, that bit with Mary and Jim.
Right. Looking out the window, noticing it's suddenly a beautiful night, stars out. It's subtle, but it feels like a little symbol of, maybe renewal, things moving forward even after loss.
It's classic soap opera plotting, isn't it? That mix of grief and potential happiness.
Keeps you hooked. And they introduce Dr. Bradford pretty early, too. Liz greets him warmly, Bill notices. You can already see potential new relationships forming outside the main family.
And the other siblings, Alice and Russ, they pop up too.
Yeah, they're there, part of the initial family picture, adding their own concerns. It helps build out the world.
Okay, so the family's reeling, but new people and plot lines are already starting to weave in. Let's talk about how that expands. Missy Palmer is a key early introduction, right?
Yes, and her first appearance is quite telling. Bill sees her on the campus bridge, throwing something in the creek.
Yeah.
He thinks she's a student at first.
But she isn't.
No. It immediately marks her as, well, maybe not fitting into the typical mold of the other characters we've met. An outsider, maybe.
Interesting. And she quickly becomes friends with Pat, who's another major character.
Right. They connect. Missy asks Pat for advice about restaurants, like for dates, and she seems genuinely concerned about Pat's involvement with this guy, Tom. It shows a nice, supportive friendship forming.
But there are other dynamics, too, and the European immigrant character.
Yeah, described as having old-world values. She connects with Missy, too, apparently over feeling like they don't quite belong. So the show's exploring that outsider feeling from different angles.
Which adds layers. It's not just one homogenous group.
Exactly. And Susan's story adds another layer of complexity within the family itself. Her engagement ended because of illness, and she seems to resent Liz, feeling pushed towards marriage.
So family tensions are already bubbling up.
Definitely. And Bill's right in the middle of it all.
Yeah, he seems to be juggling a lot, trying to be protective of Liz, figuring out Missy, supporting Susan.
He really is stepping into that role Liz gave him, navigating all these different relationships and personalities. He's sort of the anchor, trying to understand everyone.
Okay, let's shift to the romance side of things. Because, well, it's a soap opera. Things start heating up pretty quickly there, too, especially with Pat and Tom.
Oh, yeah. That relationship seems to move fast. She goes to the senior prom with him. They spend Memorial Day weekend at his family's lake house. From Pat's view, it looks serious.
But not everyone sees it that way. Liz isn't a fan.
No, she starts off curious, but quickly becomes disapproving. And even Bill makes a comment about Missy being a different kind of girl than the ones Tom usually dates.
Hinting that Tom might have a bit of a reputation.
Exactly. It raises red flags. And Mary, Pat's mom, is worried too. You see her trying to figure out Tom's real intentions, that classic parental concern.
And Pat's sister, Alice, what's her take?
Well, Alice seems to think it's the real deal. She apparently believes Pat is serious and might even be thinking about marriage.
Oh, wow. But is Tom on the same page?
Not even close. This is where we get some dramatic irony. Tom actually tells Laura Baxter, his friend's mother, that he has absolutely no intention of getting married young.
So the audience knows he's not committed, but Pat and Alice don't.
Precisely. We're in on the secret. And it's interesting, you contrast Tom's attitude with Alice, who hopes to get married herself someday, even though she wants a career as an artist. Different dreams, different expectations.
He's setting up those conflicts early. It keeps you wondering how it's all going to play out.
Essential for a serial. You need those clashing desires.
So, beyond the romances, the show also started tackling some bigger social issues, reflecting the times, right? Janet seems key here.
Very much so. Her wanting a career, clashing with Granny's traditional views. It's that generational tension again. She even warns Ken Baxter about future relationships, showing a very independent mindset.
And speaking of Ken Baxter, his marriage problems come into play, too.
Yes, Ken and Laura Baxter. We find out Ken's having an affair. With Janet, actually.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. And eventually, Laura decides she's had enough and gets her own apartment in the city. This touches on, unhappy marriages, women seeking independence, stuff that was becoming more visible in the 60s.
So it's reflecting real societal shifts.
I think so. Even Bill's interest in Missy, partly because she seems less privileged and maybe lonely. It hints at some awareness of class differences. And Liz eventually coming around to him seeing Missy shows maybe some older views could evolve too.
And just the everyday family stuff, like communication problems.
Right. Mary getting frustrated because Pat won't confide in her.
Yeah.
Alice feeling like she's still treated like a kid. Those relatable family struggles make the characters feel more real, even when the big drama hits.
And the big drama definitely hits, because things take a really serious turn with Pat's pregnancy.
Yes, that's a huge turning point. Pat gets pregnant by Tom.
And the reactions are different.
Starkly different. Tom's immediate suggestion is abortion.
Wow! In 1964 on daytime TV.
It was incredibly bold. It brings this really difficult, hidden issue right out into the open. Then Susan finds out. She's torn about whether to tell Jim and Mary, adding more secrecy and moral dilemmas.
But Missy sticks by Pat.
Yeah. Missy is shown being really supportive. And Anne starts getting suspicious about Tom's part in all this. It shows women kind of rallying around each other.
So what happens with the pregnancy?
Pat does end up having an abortion. And tragically, she suffers complications and ends up hospitalized.
Oh, no.
It underscores the dangers of illegal procedures back then. And Tom's reaction, he's just callous. Tries to avoid any responsibility. It really paints him as the villain.
Yeah, you can see why things would escalate from there. Which leads to the shooting, doesn't it?
It does. The aftermath of the abortion, Pat's fragile state, Tom apparently still pressuring her. It all builds until, in a moment of desperation, Pat shoots Tom.
And suddenly it's a crime drama.
Completely shifts gears. Lawyers get involved. Mitchell Drew, John Randolph is hired to defend Pat.
And Randolph's daughter Lee is also involved.
Yes, and she's convinced Pat is guilty from the start, which creates tension with her father, who's trying to build a defense. It adds another layer to the legal story.
So the legal machine starts grinding.
Right away. Grand jury indictment for murder. There's a dramatic scene at the arraignment where Laura Baxter publicly denounces Pat.
Intense. And the defense strategy.
They decide to go with self-defense, using Bill's knowledge of Tom's character and reputation as part of it. But there are complications. Frank and Kathy know about the abortion, which could be crucial.
And Janet knows things too, right? From her affair with Ken, maybe about Tom.
Exactly. She has information about Tom and Pat, and she's conflicted about revealing it. Plus, Pat herself is reluctant to take sodium pentothal truth serum, hinting she might be blocking out memories of what actually happened.
So many threads.
Yeah, and the year culminates with the jury selection for Pat's murder trial starting. Talk about a cliffhanger.
Absolutely. So much happens in just that first year. And through all that, the characters really change and develop, don't they?
Definitely. You can see Bill mature a lot. He becomes much more compassionate, especially in his relationship with Missy.
And Missy finds her own strength.
Yes, she grows in confidence, partly thanks to Bill's support. And Liz, the matriarch, you see her trying to understand her kids' very different lives, adapting to these changes.
The whole family dynamic feels very complex. Misunderstandings, loyalty, siblings relating differently.
It's all in there, and you get these really contrasting ideas about love and marriage presented through all the different characters. Granny's traditionalism, Janet's independence, Pat's tragic situation, Susan's caution. It makes the world feel rich.
So wrapping up this deep dive into Another World, 1964, wow. It's clear this show wasn't messing around. It jumped right into complex, controversial stuff for its time.
It really did. And you can see how that intricate web of characters and stories just grabbed viewers immediately. There's a surprising depth there right from the start. Themes of family, love, loss, societal change. It's all packed in.
For sure. So hopefully you listening now have a really good sense of how this soap opera giant began, the kinds of stories it told right out of the gate in that first crucial year.
Which kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? How did a daytime show back in the 60s manage to tackle such tough subjects? And, how did that maybe change storytelling or how people thought about their own lives, their own other worlds of feelings and dreams?
That's a great question to ponder, the lasting impact of these early, daring narratives.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. Until next time.